record. Okay. So sitting in a cross-legged position, make sure you can feel those two little sitting bones underneath you. Resting the hands onto the knees. A gentle lift through your posture as you're sitting, just to lengthen the spine. The chin's just slightly dropping down, so you're extending the back of your neck. Take a nice deep inhale through the nose. As you exhale, soften the eyes closed. Begin to connect with your breath. Just observing yourself. And this allows us to start to focus more. Maybe start to make your exhalation longer than your inhalation. Allowing those shoulders to drop down the back. Bringing yourself into that mindset of giving yourself this time to be present. To not have to think about your day, what you've done or what you're planning to do. Not time to think about any worries you might have. This is your time on the mat to simply be focused on your physical body and what you need from your practice. Always gently guiding our mind back to the present moment and back to focus if you do have any distracting thoughts. And today I thought we'd just practice a quick breathing exercise. So we're going to do alternate nostril breathing. If you've not done this before, you might want to open your eyes, but you can keep them closed if you know quite well, and I'll still speak through what we're going to do. So we're going to bring the right hand up toward the nose, resting that left hand on the left knee. The right thumb is on the right nostril, and the ring finger is on the left nostril. And we'll be closing a nostril one each time. The middle and index finger are simply just resting sort of near between the eyebrows. We're going to firstly close the left nostril so the thumb is lifted. We're making sure that we always breathe deeply to our diaphragm, so that means we can feel the belly expand as we inhale and contract as we exhale. And we're always making sure we're only breathing in and out through the nose, not the mouth. And what we will be doing when I begin to guide us is breathing in through the right and then switching over the fingers as we hold the breath and then exhaling through the left. Then we'll be inhaling through the left, holding and switching the fingers so the thumb would lift and then exhaling through the right. If you haven't done it before, please don't worry or stress. It's just one of those other things in life that just might take a little bit of practice to get used to, but just give it a go. If you're not sure which finger's lifted, don't worry. All right, so preparing just that gentle lift through the posture, checking in that you're breathing into the diaphragm, the ring finger is down, the thumb is lifted. Completely exhale now. And inhale through the right. 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold the breath. Switch the fingers. And exhale slowly. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. Completely empty the lungs. Inhale through the left. 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold the breath, switch the fingers. 3, 2, 1. Exhale, slow through the right. 4, 3, 2. Completely exhale. Inhale through the right. 4, 3, 2, 1. And hold, switch the fingers. 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale, slow through the left. 5, 4, 3, 2. Completely exhale. Inhale through the left. 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold the breath, switch the fingers. Keep that body relaxed as you hold, so you're not straining. 2, 1. Exhale through the right. 5, 4, 3, 2. Completely exhale. Last cycle. Inhale through the right. 4, 3, 2, 1. Holding. Relax the body. Relax the hand. Switch the fingers. 2, 1. Exhale slow. 5, 4, 3, 2. Completely exhale. Inhale left. 3, 2, 1. Holding. Switching the fingers. Exhale right. 5, 4, 3. Now really completely exhale. Squeeze and contract the tummy muscles. Completely empty the lungs. Then relax the hands back onto the knees. So we've awoken our breathing a little bit. Just checking in that that belly is moving as you breathe. You can bring a hand to the stomach if you want to. With each breath, guiding ourselves into the present moment. Really trying to just be here on our mat. And we'll really try to think of this today throughout class. I am present. Softly open the eyes on an inhale. And rest the hands behind you. Allow your head to drop back. Think of opening up the front of the body, and that helps you to take nice deep breaths. Feels good to breathe here. And then slowly walk the hands into the body. Lift the head last. And on an exhale, walk the fingertips forward. Think of the chest coming down toward the floor. So we're just bringing a bit of length into that back. And inhale, gently lift back up. Right hand pops just behind you. Inhale, breathe the left arm really, really tall, and then bring it over outside the right thigh. Look over the right shoulder, gentle twist in the spine. And really work with your exhalation here to try and use the space as you breathe out to twist further. 2 more breaths. Inhale, grow tall. Exhale, twist. Release back to the center. Left hand just behind you. Inhale, breathe the right arm high. Bring it over the outside of that left leg. Making sure you're still sitting slightly forward on those sitting bones. Looking round that left shoulder. Working with the breath. Always moving with our breath. Inhale, grow tall. Exhale, twist. 1 more breath. And release back to the center. Release forward, and we're just going to sit back onto the heels. So our knees are together, and we're sitting up nice and tall through the posture again. And we're going to bring the hands behind the head, And then we're going to open the elbows far apart, squeeze the shoulder blades behind each other and push the front of the body forward, looking slightly up. And then we're going to collapse everything in on an exhale. So you're working your whole body, rounding the back, elbows down. Careful not to push on the back of your head. We don't want to hurt the neck. Inhale, open the body up, elbows back. Exhale, curve everything in. Last time, inhale, open. Exhale, curve everything in. Good, back to the center, release the hands. If you want to, option to stretch out the back of your feet by just tucking, my mat, tucking the toes under and sitting back onto the heels. If that gets uncomfortable at any point, or it's just too uncomfortable, like it's painful, just point the feet back again. Okay, try and sit kind of back very slightly if you want to increase that stretch. And then we're going to simply just stay lifted in the posture, and we're going to drop the chin down to the chest. And then inhale and let the head drop back. So when we put the head back, we're not tensing the neck at all, we're just letting it drop there. And lifting back up, chin down to chest. And up. And dropping down. 2 more times, lifting up, head drops back. Up and chin drops down. Last time, up and drops back. And chin drops down. You might need to untuck your toes at this stage, and that's okay. If not, just hold them there. And we're going to do one nice big head roll round to the right. So drop the chin down to the chest first. Roll that head all the way around, really softening the neck all the way around. When it comes back to the chin to chest, reverse that direction. Take the head out to the left, softening the neck all the way around until the chin comes back to the chest, and then just lift the head back up. One breath. And lean forward onto the hands, release those toes. Okay, lining up into our tabletop position. Just going to work the wrists a little bit. So we're going to make sure we draw the shoulder blades down and back. So shoulders coming away from the ears. Those knees are lined up with the hips, wrists are lined up with your shoulders. And then we're going to take the middle fingers to point toward the midline of the body. So middle fingers facing towards each other. And then we're just going to work our way around, moving in circles, trying to weight there across all the parts of those wrists and hands. And this is just gently warming up the wrists. We don't want to push too hard, so if there's any pain, just go a little less or stop the exercise. And then maybe going around the other direction. Still connecting with the breath. Good. Hands just point back towards the front. And we just take one breath here. And then turn them around and see if you can point the fingers toward you. You might need to bring the knees in further toward your hands. And then if you want to increase your stretch, make sure those middle fingers are facing toward your knees. Then if you want more stretch, you can sit the bottom back toward the heels. But it will probably just be enough stretch in that normal tabletop. So don't worry if you can't sit back any further. Feeling a nice stretch across that back of the wrist. Breathing 2. Only very gentle in the stretch, no pain. Breathing 1. Gently release those hands back. Let's just sit back on the heels and do a few circles. Changing direction. Good. Wrists are all warmed up. So coming back to our tabletop. And we're going to move just softly through a cat-cow. So draw the shoulders back away from the ears, checking you're all lined up with the shoulders and the hips. And we're really spreading the fingers and pressing those palms into the mat, already starting our grounding, connecting with the earth. And then we inhale, lift the hips and the head. And we exhale and curve the spine. Really think about that tailbone tucking under, the chin tucking in. And really take this flow into our curve, into our arch back slowly. So we inhale, And feel the back curve, shoulders draw back, head and hip lift. Exhale. Feel all the parts of the back work to curve the way up. So this is a really mindful movement. Focus on mobility through each vertebrae of the spine. Again, last time, inhale, slowly that head lift. And we exhale, slowly reversing. Good, back to the center. And we're going to sit back in our child's pose for a moment. So hips rest back toward the heels. The knees slightly wider than the hips. And then our forehead rests down onto the mat. And we're really trying to just release in the upper body here. So no need to tense anywhere. Let the hands be soft. The face is soft. You can close the eyes if you want to. And sometimes it feels nice to have a little rock of the hips side to side. We'll take 3 breaths with an intention of connecting with the present moment. Noticing what your body needs today, how it's feeling. Breathing 2. Breathing 1. Lift back up to your tabletop. Checking those hands spread actively into the mat. Shoulder width apart, shoulders pull down. Soft bend in the elbows. Let's step back to our plank position. Knowing that any time you are in Chaturanga, in plank, you have the option to drop your knees. So especially if you feel any discomfort or strain on your lower back, then do put those knees down. Think about those shoulder blades drawing down the back and also apart from each other, like you're trying to broaden your back, your upper back, like a cobra snake, bringing a wide width between your shoulders. 2, engage through your core, pull that belly button back to the spine. 1, and exhale, release to downward facing dog. Lovely. So here we're just kind of checking in with all our technique. We're thinking about keeping that soft micro bend, so it's very subtle, in the elbows and in the knees slightly as well, especially if you're hypermobile. So we're actively using our body to hold ourselves here rather than locking into the joints. Still feeling that width broadening across the upper back. Hands are super active, and we're kind of trying to lift the pelvis up to the ceiling, like we're trying to show our sitting bones up to the sky. And that helps to extend the lower back, which often we hold a lot of tension and it can get a curve. So we're trying to extend that lumbar spine. Belly button squeezes back toward the spine. And we kind of have a gentle rise and fall with our breath. Just sort of inhale a little lift. Exhale, heels pressing down, pelvis lifting up. Always breathing in and out through the nose, and feeling that belly move as you breathe. 2 more breaths. Last breath. We're going to gently walk those feet toward the hands, coming toward our Tadasana, forward fold. But we're going to take the feet slightly apart and come into ragdoll for a moment. So we're, again, micro bending the knees, really grounding through all the parts of the feet and the toes. And we're going to cup each elbow and each hand, tucking that chin slightly in toward the chest, just so that we can feel a release down the back of the neck and the shoulders, really just letting gravity do the work here. So you're not forcing your way down, just trying to let go in that upper body. And still a feeling of those hips lifting high up to the ceiling. Maybe just rocking gently side to side, feeling the feet against the mat. Breathing 2, breathing 1. Release the hands and now bend the knees quite a lot so that you can really lay the stomach onto the upper thighs. It feels quite nice. And then from here, we can gradually uncurl, coming up to standing. But let's take this slow and really feel mindfully, again, the lower back vertebrae unfolding, the middle back, eventually feeling the upper back unfold, shoulders eventually will roll back and down, and we lift that head. So we're really prepared now, we're warmed up, mentally prepared, and we're going to stand at the top of the mat in our Tadasana position, thinking about our bandha, which is energy lock. So we've got energy lock, Mula Bandha going through the body, so it's drawing up through the earth, the feet are actively pressing down. And then our thighs are engaged, lifting the kneecaps up the legs, and the thighs squeezing together like you're holding a penny between the thighs, and the bottom squeezes. Now just recognize if you've got a bend in your lower back, then you might need to think about squeezing the tailbone underneath you. Our Uddiyana Bandha engages, so that's the pelvic floor, lifting up. Imagine you really need the toilet and you're squeezing. And the abdominal muscles, imagine we're squeezing them in back towards the spine and up underneath the ribs, and it kind of lifts the whole body to lengthen, but still allowing the breath through the belly. Shoulders roll back, fingers actively point to the earth, again just to breathe length into the body. And the chin is very slightly down so that you've got length in the back of your neck. The chest, the shoulders and the face are soft, especially softening between the eyebrows and across the forehead. Inhale, breathe just the right arm up, and then as left fingertips pull down to the earth, come into a side bend. So breathing and lifting, and exhale, leaning over toward your left side. Right fingertips pulling high, lifting up. Breathing length into the side of the body. One more breath. Inhale, lift. Exhale, changing the arms over. Left fingertips lift. Right fingers push down to the earth, coming into a side stretch. Breathing, lifting tall, and exhaling, coming over. One more breath. Inhale up, right hand comes up to meet the left hand above the head. And we're going to twist over toward our right side, and we're going to open the arms. And if we can, it's comfortable on the neck, then we look back behind us toward the right hand. And this is a twist through the spine. So we want to try and keep both hips facing forward and just the shoulders twist. One more breath. Shoulders down. Inhale, lift both hands back up over the head, and we're going to gradually move over to that left side. Looking behind, shoulders open, hips facing the side. One more breath. Inhale back to the front, hands above the head. Flex the wrists, fingers pointing behind you. Really check in with thighs squeezing together, the feet pressing down, the bottom squeezing. We inhale, lift up, and exhale, drop the head back. Push the hips forward into a small back bend. Inhale, lift, head always comes up last. And we exhale, Tadasana, forward fold. So all the way down, you tilt from the hips, lengthening the back. And then the hands either come to your shins or they come down to the floor, only if your back is long enough. So we don't want to round the back, we want to grow the spine long. That's the priority. It doesn't matter how far down you go. One more breath, breathe length. Bend the knees, place the hands down on the mat. And let's step the left foot back. So we're in a nice long runner's lunge. Really active in the feet and really lengthen the back of the knee on your back leg. So try not to let the back leg bend. Then if you feel stable enough, lift those hands up above the head, shoulders down, belly squeezes in, so we try not to bend the back. Still lunging into that front leg, trying to line your right knee with your right ankle. As you exhale, twist with the same arm movement that we just did standing up. So you're opening the hands out to the sides, twisting to the right side body. Maybe looking back if you're stable enough. Inhale, lift the arms up over the head. Good. Exhale, bring the hands back down to the mat. Step that back foot in just a little bit, so you've got about 3 foot distance between the legs. And we're trying to extend both of the legs now for our pyramid pose. So the hands could be on the shin or down to the floor. Think about the hips pushing back behind you. Both hips are parallel forward. And then if you feel stable enough to, interlace the fingers behind the back and imagine the knuckles pushing back behind you. So you're lifting the chest and the shoulders a little bit. Bend the front knee if you need to, but if not, both legs extended. Breathing 2. Breathing 1. Release the hands down. Step back nice and long. Hands press down into the mat. Step back to a high plank. And then we're going to drop the knees and then drop the chest and the chin between the hands. Elbows stay tucking in and the hips lift up to the ceiling, so you're bending your lower back. If you want to, point the toes up to the ceiling, so you're bending the knees. Breathe 1. Feet come down. Inhale, snake the chest through the hands to lift to a cobra, so the hips stay down. There's a bend in the elbows, they're tucking in toward the body. And then if you want to, you can practice testing yourself, bringing the hands up off the floor. 3, 2, inhale, lift. Make sure you press the toes into the mat. 1, and lower down. Tuck the toes under, exhale back to your down dog. 3 breaths here. Maybe give that head a shake or a nod to loosen the neck. Remembering that protection in your joints, so not to lock back in the joints. Remembering that lift with the pelvis, lifting the tailbone to extend the lower back. As you exhale, you're pressing that weight back into the heels. If you're finding it hard to get a really good stretch of the spine, then come up onto the toes and bend the knees more. And then you feel that length in the back. Stretching out the back is always priority over stretching the hamstrings. Let's bring that left knee through, step between hands. Make sure you're lining up your left knee with your left ankle. We're in our runner's lunge and we're really extending the back leg. Inhale, breathe the hands high overhead. Shoulders down, belly squeezes in. On your next exhale, twisting over to the left side, looking behind you. Fingers reaching out each side. One more breath, twisting through the spine. And inhale, lift the hands back up, back to the front. Hands come down to the mat, and we're going to step the back foot in a little bit, so you've got about 3 foot between the feet. Aiming to try and extend the legs, but you can have a small bend in that front leg if you need. Push the hips back behind you. Hands either on the shin or on the floor. Now, if you feel stable enough, interlace the fingers behind you. Push the knuckles back to the back wall, just behind you, so the chest is lifting. So just make sure you're not pushing the hands up to the ceiling. We're trying to think of them going back behind the hips. 2. Lengthening that spine. 1. Release the hands down to the mat. Bend the left knee again and stepping back to that runner's lunge. And then we're going to step back to a high plank. This time we're just gradually lowering down onto the stomach. So remember, the knees can come down if you need. Let's take it slow. 5, 4, lower 3, 2, onto the stomach 1. Inhale, Cobra. So we're always pressing the back of the toes, or like the toenails, into the mat. So we lift, hips stay down. They're squeezing the bottom. Now if you want to, lift the hands. Breathing 3, 2, 1. Press it back down. Tucking the toes under. Exhale, down dog. Breathe 2. Check in that that neck is still nice and loose. Never holding tension in the neck. Checking the face is soft. Relaxing between the eyebrows. 1. Right leg lifts to a 3-legged dog. So that right foot is flexed and stays internally rotated. So shoulders square to the mat. And we tuck the right knee through, step between the hands. And we're going to open up to a warrior 2 this time. So we're opening to the side. Just checking in with our position. So left toes are going straight out to the side. Right toes in front, lining up with that right knee. So right big toe lines up with right knee. And we're trying not to push the bottom out, so we've tucked the bottom underneath. And that left hip might be lifting, so we think about the left hip dropping down. So we've got an even line between both hips. Hands out to the side, exhale the shoulders down. Looking strongly across your front fingertips. We're going to inhale to our sun warrior. So the left fingertips come toward the back leg, but you don't lean on your leg, they're just rested there. And the right fingertips reach up, creating a C shape with the spine. Opening the chest, peel that right shoulder back, looking up slightly. Breathing for 3, 2, inhale, reach, exhale, curve, 1, and inhale, lift back up. We're going to interlace the fingers behind us. Take a deep inhale and exhale to a humble warrior, so the chest comes toward the front thigh. And here you can curve the back a little bit to help you to bring the hands over the head. So we're aiming for this nice shoulder stretch. If you're kind of feeling quite comfortable in your shoulder stretch, think about the wrists pressing together. Think about grounding low to the floor. And those feet are pushing them that way, really actively pressing down. Breathing 2. Breathing 1. Good. Release the hands, but we're going to keep our feet here for our last standing strength position. So bringing our right hand inside the right ankle. Or you can lean your right elbow onto the right knee if you needed to, or hover it by the ankle. Left fingertips reach up to the ceiling. So you're still bending and lunging into your front leg. And making sure we're trying to bring that left shoulder back. Breathing for 2. Breathing for 1. Good. And we're going to windmill our arms down to the mat. So right hand comes to the other side of that right foot, left hand makes its way down. We're back in that runner's lunge position. And we step back to our plank. And then we're going to drop the knees for our first variation. Chest and chin come between the hands. Keeping those elbows really tucked in tight toward the body. And we point those toes up toward the ceiling. Really trying to bend the lower back here, so the hips really lifting. Those feet come down. We inhale, lift to a cobra. Those hips are still down, elbows tucking in. Toenails pressing into the mat. And then maybe lifting the hands for 3, 2, squeezing the bottom. Maybe lifting higher, 1. And hands back down. Tuck the toes under, bend the knees. Exhale back to your down dog. Reconnect with the present moment. Just check in that your mind hasn't started to wander. Connect with your body. Listen to your breath. 2. 1. Coming onto the second side, left leg lifts, 3-legged dog. And then we tuck that left knee forward, step between the hands, check left knee lines up with your left ankle. Opening to our warrior 2 to face the side. So we've probably got our right hip a little bit lifted, so we draw the right hip down. We squeeze the belly in and check we're tucking that tailbone under a tiny bit to lengthen the lower back. Left knee lines up with our left big toe. Right foot 90 degrees to the side. We're pressing all the parts of the feet into the mat. Looking with strength across our front fingertips. Shoulders down. Warrior is for strength and peace. We're feeling stable and strong in the body, peaceful in the mind. Breathing 2, 1. Inhale to sun warrior. Right fingertips rest on the back leg, creating a C shape with the left arm. Peeling the left shoulder back to open the chest. Looking up just slightly. 2, 1, release, lifting back, humble warrior, interlace the fingers behind you, and then as you exhale, chest comes towards your front thigh, you can relax the head down, curving the back a little, drawing the hands over the head, visualize lowering, grounding into the floor. Using your breath. Maybe pushing the wrists together. One more breath. And we come into our extended side lunge. So we're lifting slightly, but keeping the lunge in the legs. Left elbow either rests on left knee, or left hand hovers by the left ankle. And we reach the right fingertips up. So we've got a straight line between both hands. Rather than the variation of reaching to the side, we're reaching straight up to the ceiling. Still squeezing the bottom under, squeezing the belly button in toward the spine. Opening the chest and shoulders. Breathing for 2. 1. Left hand comes outside that left foot, windmill the right hand down, back to our runner's lunge. And rather than stepping back this time, we're really active in our core. And then we squeeze, lift the hips up and step that back leg toward the front. Tadasana. Exhale. Prioritizing that length in the spine rather than lowering. As you inhale, the top of the head reaching forward, hips reaching high. Remembering you can have hands on the shins or on the floor. Very soft bend in the knees. Flex the hands, bring the upper arms up just by the ears. Lifting up with a straight back, slowly, all the way. When you get to standing, we continue into our back bend, squeeze the bottom, push the hips forward. Inhale, lift. Exhale, hands to Pranamasana, to the heart. Press the thumbs into the chest. See if you can feel your heartbeat. Observe your breath. Notice if it's got quicker. And just see if you can slow your breath back to a consistent, steady rhythm. You can always close your eyes if it feels nice. 3 more breaths. Lovely. Coming into some of our balances, I'm just going to have a very quick sip of water, so if anyone needs, now is a good time. Lovely. So standing in our Tadasana, our mountain pose, engaging that pelvic floor is even more important now. So really imagine you need to go to the toilet and squeeze all those muscles in that area. Imagine that lifting up of the abdominal muscles, flying and zipping up underneath the ribs. And the feet are also really active. So the sides of the foot, the balls, the heels, the toes, they're all working really hard to grip and support you. And we're going to just start with a simple exercise just to really get that focus of our balance. And before we go, just remembering that we just keep it light-hearted. Our balance changes every day due to so many different factors. So it's natural to have good days and bad days. And try to not let your mind go to critical thoughts, only keeping those kind thoughts, accepting thoughts towards yourself. Draw the hands to the heart. Take your eye gaze a couple of meters in front on the floor. And then if you feel safe and steady too, see if you can close the eyes. If you feel really unstable with the eyes closed, then just soften the eyes so that they're slightly open. And then we're going to start to shift our weight forward toward the toes. Keep the legs squeezing together. Think of that pelvic floor and the toes gripping. And then we're going to see if we can lift the heels just a couple of millimeters. So you can pretty much still feel the mat beneath the heels. They've just lifted off the mat. We don't want to go straight into trying to yank them up as far as we can. So they're just off. They might touch down and then lift and touch down again. And this helps the body to kind of get into balance mode, because I can feel, the calves working, the toes gripping, the legs, thighs squeezing together. See if you can engage that core to lift you up, to lengthen your posture. The ankles squeeze together as well. We're going to have 3 more breaths, so if you want to, you can play around and see if you can lift up more. Doesn't matter if you wobble. 3, 2, 1. And relax the heels back down. Good. We're going to start with our tree pose today. So as the feet press down, we lift up. So we're being pulled, our energy in two separate directions. And those shoulders and the face always staying soft and calm. So hands are to the heart, and we lift that right knee up toward the chest as much as you can. This is really good for strengthening the hips. So lift, lift, lift. Squeeze it toward the chest. 3, 2, 1. And then we either take the foot below the knee, or we support our ankle and we place the mount of the toes on the inside of the thigh, and then the heel presses down. We're literally gripping our inner thigh with our foot. It's wrapping around the leg like it's a tree trunk, like a snake wraps around a tree. The foot gripping. And then we're trying to kind of open that knee out to the side, but keeping the hips facing forward. Shoulders relax. Make sure that eye gaze is super focused on one point. And you're growing tall through the crown of the head, and the left foot presses into the mat. And we squeeze the belly in as well, so we're trying to lengthen the back, avoid a bend in the lower back. Doesn't matter at all if you wobble and fall. Everybody wobbles and falls. So you just come back to your pose, only with kind and accepting thoughts. Breathing. 3, 2, 1. Now we breathe and lift the hands up over the head. See if you can lift the eye gaze a tiny bit if you feel comfortable to. Again, it might throw you off your balance, but it doesn't matter. Ooh. And then as you exhale, bring the hands down your side, back toward the heart. Again, lift that knee up into the chest. Squeeze it as high as you can. For 3, lift the knee higher. 2, 1, and the feet come back together onto the mat. Take a couple of breaths to adjust, realign, refocus, thinking about pelvic floor, the right foot, right leg in the stability now. So engage, lift through the crown of the head, soften the face, bringing yourself into a calm mind, strong body. And we can go ahead and lift the left knee into the chest as high as you can. 3, 2, maybe higher. 1, and the foot either comes below the knee or we support the ankle. Place the mount of the toes on the inside of the thigh, then the heel. That foot is gripping, wrapping onto our supported leg. We're relaxing through the shoulders, and we fix the eye gaze really solidly on one point. And we try to open that left knee out to the side, keeping the hips forward. The knee is kind of pressing down a little bit toward the floor as well. Feeling that pull of energy in two directions. Crown of the head lift, foot pressing down. Squeezing belly in, tucking bottom under. Breathing 3. Try not to hold the breath. Breathing 2. Ooh. Breathing 1. Hands lift up over the head, and only if you want to, you can play around with lifting the eye gaze. Does not matter if you wobble, that's part of the practice. 2, 1. Hands come round by your sides, slowly drawing their way back into the heart. As they lift, we lift that left knee up toward the chest and squeeze it as high as we can. 3, 2, 1. Bring those feet back together. Good, lovely. Okay, we're going to practice our warrior 3 pose, but we're going to kind of do it as a moving sequence. So we're kind of in the middle of the mat this time, rather than the top of our mat. And we're going to bring that right knee in toward the chest. Now, trying to keep the foot lifted up off the floor, we start to shift the leg back and shift the body weight forward. Keep a soft, subtle bend in your left supporting leg. As the foot goes back, remember that you want to be able to try and balance the plate on the lower back, so the right hip drops down. Internally rotate the back leg, trying to find that T shape. Hands can lift over the head if you feel able. Then as the hands draw back to the heart, we bring that knee back in toward the chest. And we're doing 4 more. So this is like moving balance. So we bring our weight forward, bring that leg behind, keep the right hip down. Hands can come over the head. And we move back, bringing the knee into the chest. And we go 3. Moving back to our T shape, our warrior 3. And drawing back in. Just 2 more. Leaning forward, leg back, hands maybe over the head, T shape, and drawing back into the chest. Lift that knee high. This is our last one. Back to that T shape. And the legs meet together. Oh, good, lovely. I can feel my left calf muscles working. Coming back to the center of your mat. So my eye gaze is sort of maybe a couple of meters or 1.5 meters in front toward the ground. Okay, pressing that right foot into the mat. Soft bend in the right knee. Left knee lifts up to the chest as high as you can. Then we transfer through to that warrior 3. Hands optionally come over the head. Left hip stays down. Think about that evenness across the lower back. And we lift that left knee into the chest. 4 more. Reach. And bring it in. Reach away. Warrior 3. And bring it in. Really squeeze the knee into the chest. It's really good for the hip flexors. And we stretch. And bring that knee in again. 2 more. Push the heel away. Come to that T shape. Hands can reach over the head. Feel the heel and the arms pressing away. And then we lift the knee back. Our last warrior 3. Really reach with the fingertips. Push the heel back. And bring the feet back together. Lovely. Okay. Finishing with one last balance. Hands come to the heart. Sit back into a chair pose. And then see if you can transfer the weight onto the toes and lift those heels. Try not to let the ankles rock out to the side. Keep the ankles squeezing together. 3, 2, 1. Now we're going to gradually lift so our back is nice and straight. And then sit slowly down onto the heels. You can put your hands by your side to support you if needed. Now see if you can level your knees with your hips so that you could put a plate or a book across your lap. Breathe 3, keep those knees together. Breathe 2, 1. Now the hands come down to the floor. Make a small gap between the knees and tuck your head down. And then try to visualize the heels pressing down into the mat. So you're curving your spine, you're kind of curving into a little ball, and then we're focusing on a stretch in the Achilles and the calves. So really visualizing the heels drawing down to the mat, really relaxing the calf muscles. Breathing nice and steady. 3, 2. For our last exhale, see if you can press the heels down any further. 1. Now press the heels down, lift the bottom up, so you're kind of in a forward fold with bent knees. And we roll up nice and gradual. Uncurl through the back. Lovely. I'm going to do just a very quick time check, see how we're getting on here. Okay, we're going to come into some stretches down on the mat. So stand here at the very top of the mat in our mountain pose, Tadasana. Inhale, breathe the arms up, Namaskarasana above the head. Exhale, forward fold, Tadasana. Bend the knees, press the hands into the mat. Right foot steps back, then our left foot to a high plank. Gradually lower down onto the stomach. Inhale through to a cobra. Keeping those hips down, open chest and shoulders. Tuck the toes under, exhale to a down dog. Coming into some nice hip stretches. So we're going to bring that right leg up to 3-legged dog. And we step through between the hands. And we're coming to our horse riding or Shavasana pose. So we drop the left knee and we point the back toe. And we try to make sure our right knee is lined up with the right ankle. And then we're imagining our left hip flexor pushing forward and down towards the mat. Try to sit up tall, sort of in the center, and imagine reaching the fingertips down toward the mat. One more breath. And we're going to now lean forward onto the hands. Bring both hands on the inside of your right leg. Maybe come down onto one or both of the forearms, if you're comfortable to. Naturally, the right knee might start to go out to the side, and that's okay. So you don't need to actively push it out to the side, but it's all right if it sways a bit to the right. And here we really draw all our attention to that left hip flexor, trying to firstly see if we're holding tension and resisting the stretch anywhere. And then trying to intentionally, actively relax those muscles. Actively relaxing is hard, but if you squeeze the fists and then release them, you can kind of feel what a sensation of actively relaxing is. Sometimes we don't realise where we might be tensing, so really try to be aware of and observe the body. If it helps you, you can visualise sending your breath to your hip. Having one more breath here. We're going to lift up to our hamstring stretch. So we're trying to bend the back knee and straighten the front leg. So we're trying to line up the left hip with the left knee and straighten our front leg as much as we can comfortably and flex the right toes back toward us. Now, rather than just lowering straight down to your leg, we're going to lift up and imagine pushing the hips back behind us. So pushing both hips back, the right and the left. So it's kind of that same feeling of tilting the tailbone up to extend that lower back. And you should feel an increased stretch in the hamstring. And then if you're feeling like your hamstrings are really long and that's not enough stretch for you, then with still intentionally pushing the tailbone back, you can lower a little bit towards your leg, thinking of your head going toward the toes, but only if your stomach is sort of on your thigh, then you can start to lower. Again, just being really aware of your own body, recognizing in you if there's anywhere tensing or resisting a stretch. We're trying to keep the hamstring relaxed. The body kind of goes into self-protective mode in some stretches, and it tenses up to try and protect your muscles. So you've got to keep a bit of control over that. Work with your breath. Let's take one more breath here. So the last breath is where you could increase it a little bit more if you feel safe to. Go sort of to your safe maximum. And then release, bringing forward. We're going to come into our pigeon pose. So bring the right foot and right knee to the floor. Now here you've got two options. You might want to relax in this pigeon pose and you can bring that chest down. If you want to, you can take a quad stretch here as well. So that means holding, rotating over toward your left side body and holding that back ankle to squeeze the foot in toward the bottom. And you kind of lean slightly forward here. And this is really important to keep relaxed that quad muscle. Because I don't know about everyone else, but my quad muscle tenses up and resists me very quick. So I have to really focus on relaxing that back leg. And it's okay that it's a bit uncomfortable. We need to kind of try and embrace that discomfort a little bit and just focus on the positive that it does for our body to stretch out. Using breath. Breathing for 2. 1. Relax that leg back. And press the hands into the mat. Let's step back to a high plank. Gradually lower, keeping those elbows tucking in. Lower onto the stomach, come to a cobra. Open chest and shoulders, squeezing the bottom. Tuck the toes under, bend the knees back to your down dog. Coming onto our next side. So lift the left leg, 3-legged dog. Tuck that left foot forward. Step between the hands. Check the left knee lines up with your left ankle. Drop the back leg. Point the back toes. Horse riding pose. So firstly, sitting sort of in the center. Reaching the fingertips down towards the mat. If that was uncomfortable, you could just lean through the hands. We're visualizing the right hip flexor pushing forward and down towards that mat. And now let's start to transfer forward. Bring both hands on the inside of the thigh. And then maybe come down to one or both forearms. You can allow the left knee to naturally sway out to the left if it does. And now that same intention and focus on the other side. So that real focus on relaxation through that right hip flexor. Being aware of your body. So that means keeping the face really relaxed. Sometimes you see people stretching in the gym, they're sort of frowning and tensing and squeezing their eyes closed. And that just tells the body that it's in danger and that it needs to tense up. So we need to kind of do the opposite to that. Breathing, maybe a slight smile. Completely embracing that feeling, that sensation of releasing our hip flexor. Even if it is a bit uncomfortable, just telling our body, our mind telling our body that it's okay. One more breath. And we lift back up onto the hands, coming into our hamstring stretch. Bend the back knee, line up the right knee with right hip, flex the left foot. Try to straighten the left leg as much as you can comfortably, and then keeping lifted up, thinking about pushing the tailbone back behind you. And again, hamstring is another one that kind of tenses up without us knowing. So I sort of go into a stretch and then I have to think about it, and then I literally feel my hamstring let go. See if you can feel that same sensation. If the stomach is laying on your left thigh and your hips are pushed back, you could lower a little bit, bringing the head toward the toes. Breathing 2. For the last deep breath, we sort of go to our safe maximum. Lift back, coming to a lunge, coming to our pigeon pose. So we bring the left foot and knee to the floor, line up the hips so they're central, and then either lower down so the chest comes to the mat, or we take a quad stretch if you wanted to. So leaning forward slightly, holding the foot, bringing it towards the bottom, focusing on relaxing that back leg. Again, really keeping the face soft and calm, working with your breath. Breathing for 2. 1. Relax the back leg. And we're now just going to tuck our back knee behind us so that we can come to sitting on the bottom. Good. Straighten the legs out in front of you. Lying onto your back. We're going to finish today with our happy baby and a bit of a inner thigh stretch. So kind of try and make sure you've got a bit of room each side of you in case you do want to take the option of extending the legs. So we firstly try to hold the inside of the feet. So our arms are on the inside of the knee. And then our hips will probably lift. So try to push the feet back a bit towards the bottom and lower your hips. So you want to be able to try and feel the whole length of the back on the floor. It might not happen for you today if there's a bit of tightness, so if the hips do stay up, it's okay. The stretch still works. So think of the thighs sort of staying close tucked into the ribs, and your hands are there to kind of push on the sole of the feet to push the knees down to the floor. And then you can rock side to side a little bit, sort of massaging the back on the floor. And now you have the option, if you wanted to start to extend your legs. And you could either keep hold of your feet, or you can hold the calves, or you can hold the inner thighs. I just need to come away from my wall a little bit. So you've got kind of a few options. If you're holding the thighs, you still get a nice stretch. If you can't sort of quite hold the soles, then you could hold the big toes with your middle and index finger. That's another option. Everyone will sort of find a different hold easier. You can still have that little rock going on, sort of massaging the back. We're going to have 5 breaths here, just really trying to focus on that nice stretch in the hips. We do hold quite a lot of emotional tension in the hips. So I think it's really important at this time to really focus and give ourselves time in hip stretches. 3, 2, and for our last breath, maybe just to push to your safe maximum. 1. Really gradually, slowly Bring those knees back together. When you're ready, coming into our Shavasana. So we rest the legs down. If they're sort of the back's really bending off the mat, then we tuck the bottom under a little bit to try and feel the length of the back on the floor. And the hands either rest on the stomach or open up nice and wide to the side, the palms facing up so that you can kind of feel those shoulders able to open. We take a deep inhale. As you exhale, allow the eyes to close. So we've got about 5 minutes in our Shavasana position. And this is probably, for most people, maybe the most challenging pose that we do in yoga, to allow our body to be still and our mind to be still. So we go into this with the intention that we're kind of going to give it our best go, but also not judge ourselves. Whatever happens, it's just good that we're trying. It's good that we're doing this practice anyway, even if we don't get to clear our mind. Just trying is telling your body that you're here, you want to be present, you want to give it space and love and kindness. So you don't have to put any pressure on yourself. You can just simply focus on observing your breath. Not trying to manipulate or change your breath. Simply listening, feeling the journey of the breath. In through the nose, through the body. Feeling that really slow and gentle rise and fall of the stomach and the chest as you breathe. Just knowing that it's natural for everybody to have thoughts float in and out of the mind. That you can make that choice to not become involved with the thought, not to come sort of wrapped up in the story and be distracted by it, but to think, I'm thinking, just acknowledge and then allow that to float past again. And very gently guide yourself back to observing your breath. Maybe just recognizing if there's an area that you tend to hold your attention. This will probably be different for everybody. It might be that you're still holding tension in your stomach, and you can try and breathe and allow the stomach muscles to let go now. Maybe your hands feel tense. It could be your back, neck, or shoulders. And if so, you just try to send your breath to those areas. So breathe into your back. And just telling your body it's okay to relax and let go now. Be supported by your mat. And surrender to your mat. Breathing in relaxation and breathing out tension. Before we move out of our Shavasana, give yourself a moment to really absorb and immerse yourself in this feeling. Hopefully feeling calm and peaceful and very present. And just know that you can revisit this feeling if there's any difficult times or when those worries start to come back. See if you can kind of save this feeling in your memory. And now, very gradually start to move those toes and fingers. Softly roll the head from side to side to loosen that neck. Maybe take a stiff Shavasana if you like to, which is reaching the hands up over the head and pointing the toes together away from you like you stretch in the morning. And then make your way over to roll onto the right side of the body, curling up here into the fetal position just for a moment. And trying to keep those eyes closed, gently lift yourself back up to your sitting position, crossing the legs, melting the hands onto the knees. Feel the sitting bones beneath you. Gentle lift through your posture. Shoulders roll back. Reflect here on any changes you notice. So anything maybe in the body that feels, maybe a muscle group that feels energized, or maybe an area that feels softened and stretched. Or maybe simply a positive feeling in the mind, like being more present. Bring the hands to the heart and press the thumbs into the chest, connecting with your heart. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. May all beings in the world be happy and free. Gradually bowing the head down. On an inhale, open the eyes. Namaste. Thank you so much for joining me, everyone. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you feel good.